Back in August, the Premier League season started on a Friday night. It was Manchester United who got us up and running with a 1-0 win over Fulham. It was Joshua Zexi Robosa with his first goal in English football. Fulham will have a chance to decide whether Manchester City will play Champions League football next season, because on Sunday it will be the final day in the English Premier League. The title, of course, already decided with Liverpool winning with 4 games to spare, and Arsenal needed 2 games to spare to also confirm their place in the Champions League. At the bottom of the English Premier League table, we already know that teams like Leicester City already have their fate sealed, signed, and will be, of course, swimming comfortable with the championship next season. They will be joined with the likes of Ipswich Town, Southampton in the English Championship. But who finishes in the Champions League position is what we will be looking at on the final permutation in the Premier League. It is the race for top 5. Only 2 teams are guaranteed, with 5 other managers not giving up. Onkani Sam joins me on set as we look at the final day in the English Premier League. It's going to be an interesting one because this has never happened.
It has never happened.
In a very long while. Going into the final day, position will switch. Only 2 points separates Manchester City, who are currently 3rd, of course, from the chasing pack. City are 3rd with 68 points and are closely followed by Newcastle United, who are on 66 points, Chelsea, who are on 66 points, and of course, Aston Villa, who are on 66 points. Not forgetting Nottingham Forest, who are on 65 points. As it stands, any of these teams can make it to Europe next season, as 3 will join the 2 that have already qualified. Football Temple are brought to you by Azar Studios. It's going to be a big one.
It is.
And my crystal ball says that Manchester City, who are away to Fulham, will not be in the Champions League next season. Let's go to what Opta said. And I want to take it from Opta because I know Onkani Sam likes statistics also. According to Opta analyst, now Opta are saying that City have a 78.3% chance of finishing 3rd, and meaning the City will be in the Champions League next season. But I have a very strong feeling from Otukpo. Since Opta is Opta, but my own now Otukpo, that Manchester City might miss out on the Champions League entirely. And Opta is saying that there's a 0% chance that City will miss out on playing Champions League football, and a 3.1% chance that City will finish outside of the top 5 on Kani Sam.
See, this is funny. Now, the last match is going to be interesting, courtesy Arsenal again. Now, they make England get extra slot.
If I say Kani Sam is not an Arsenal,
no, I am coming with the
no. But
I'm coming down there. No, I'm coming down there.
Yeah, I get.
Seriously speaking, if not for the fact that Arsenal have actually earned an extra slot for the English team, would have been where we are. It wouldn't have been this interesting. So Arsenal made it interesting. They've gotten their own normal trophy.
Kudos to Arsenal.
Then your crystal ball, I totally agree with it. I wouldn't want to believe that City has 0% chance of not going Champions League. No. The truth is this, right? Personally, just like what I said on a different platform last week, I said City are the bigger side. But I wish City would lose that final, and they did. Now City is the bigger side here. They're traveling to Fulham. Somehow I know we call this bigger side again now. They've been struggling. It's not about this. And look, that team is. We're going to see more of this next season. That dominancy that we're used to, that City that used to, have this commanding presence, is not going to be there again. So yes, they're the bigger side against Fulham, but your crystal ball probably for the first time, my crystal ball, your crystal ball
is aligning.
Is aligning. Something is telling me that between Chelsea and City, one will not go. But most likely, City might be the team that will not go. And since speaking, I'll be glad if City is not going Champions League. I will be happy because they've been a disgrace over the years. They've done things that are not pardonable. I mean, look at what Madrid did to them again this year. Then, I want a situation where, the truth is this, right? I want a situation where there should be other ways that somebody can actually become successful. not VA spending so much to become successful. There should be other ways that club can actually find a way of managing themselves. Like what we see Barca is doing from the academy, manufacturing players, becoming successful. What we see Madrid doing, not buying players to the expense. I mean, it's so expensive. They wait for players who are out of contract, they will come free, and they win trophies. You understand? What we see, you understand? I want to see that happen more.
But even though it's looking more likely, because Aston Villa will now have to win like 17 goals against Manchester United for that to happen, for City not to play Champions League.
That's what I'm saying. I wish
it was not. It didn't have to get to that goal difference.
The thing is this, right? That was why I wanted their match against Bournemouth 3 days ago or 2 days ago to be 2 days ago now. They had to be either 1-0 draw or they should have lost that match because I think they were away from home.
They won by 3 goals.
They were at home. Their last game of the season at home. I think they've secured their place somehow. I wish they're not going Champions League, but somehow they're going Champions League, and that's going to be the best thing that happened to them because despite having a very shambolic season, they're not just even going Champions League. At the end of the day, the gap between them and Arsenal is bridgeable. It might be at the end of the day just probably 3 points.
Yeah,
that might separate these two teams. But that's another thing. That tells you how bad Arsenal was at the end of the season because if Arsenal have not won, and that tells you the gap between Arsenal and City before now. Because if Arsenal have not won in their last 6 matches, Arsenal won just 1 game and they're still ahead of City with 3 points. That tells you how poor City has been, and that's how terrible Arsenal has actually been in the last 7, in the last 4-5 games. But all in all, kudos to them. I wish, sincerely speaking, I wish City is not going to Champions League. Like I said, for reasons so that people don't believe that no, I have to spend my way out to go to Champions League, or I have to spend so because I mean this same team spent how much during this mid-season transfer? How much?
About 200.
200 plus. Yet they didn't win the FA Cup, right? Which was for me, it was so suiting. It was an experience that I really enjoyed thoroughly. It would have been more enjoyable. It would have been more enjoyable if City would not, but somehow City is there already. You can't take them out to that place.
Well, let's give you the scenario that will play out for City not to be in the Champions League next season. It will mean that City first will fail to get any point against Fulham when they travel to London to take on Fulham on Sunday. Kickoff time is simultaneous across all games in the Premier League. If that happens, City will end the season on 68 points, meaning that Aston Villa, meaning that Newcastle United must win against Everton at home at the St. James's Park, 1. Chelsea must win away at the City Ground against Nottingham Forest, 2. And Aston Villa must beat Manchester United by any score margin. Correction earlier, I said they have to score 16 goals. It's only if City play a draw that Aston Villa will need to score as much as 17 goals to be able to topple Manchester City. But if all of these 3 teams win, then there will be no place for Manchester City in next season Champions League. Let's go to the next team, Newcastle United, who are 4th. I think Newcastle United have the safest for me. They're at home against an Everton side.
Now that's the issue against Everton. A very stubborn side since Moyes took over. They've been so stubborn.
But is there anything to play for Everton? Play their last game at the Goodison, moving to a new stadium.
Prestige, pride. There's everything to play for. You're paid to play this game. That you're moving from.
They can't finish below 13th.
It still doesn't change.
Above 13th.
Still doesn't change the fact that it's a competition and it's not over yet. It's not a friendly game. You understand? You need to win, and you need to win convincingly if you can win. But they're coming up against a side that is doing very well too for themselves. Talking about
Newcastle United.
And I would love to see Newcastle finishing ahead of City. That's the City must make it to Champions. Let it be that they grab the 4th place.
3rd spot, right? 3rd place finish.
No, 4th.
Okay,
I would love to see Newcastle ahead of City. That's what I mean.
Newcastle will have to finish 3rd.
Yeah, they have to win and win convincingly. You understand? City have to lose and lose convincingly. Well, not convincingly with any goal margin. Even if it's 0.01 goal that they lose with, it means these guys will finish ahead of them. I know lots of people, because of how dominant Pep Guardiola has been, because of how he has turned the league to a farmers league, a lot of people out there would love to see City finishing probably 4th or 5th. Fact. But if it doesn't go that way, fine and good. But for Newcastle, their biggest constraint has been the PSR.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have been here right now. Now they have to gradually grow into these things. They're not making so much from get taken. They're not in bigger competition. So there's a limit to the amount of money they can spend. That has limited. But even at that, so they have an amazing team. So that the team, at some point this season, you
Carabao
have
Cup champions.
Aside from being Carabao Cup champions, you wouldn't have a team where you have Gumares, you have Joy Linton, and you have Tolani in the midfield, and Isak, who is second high goal scorer this season, and you're struggling to go to Champions League. I always feel the man in Newcastle is the problem. I feel he has not done enough. I feel that's not
It should be a change of guard
Because-
for a better, a more experienced and
But
broadened manager.
How many guys want to come and manage this team like this? Because you're not allowed to spend so much right now for obvious reason. You're not making so much. But the good thing is Champions League season is going to make them have more, so they can spend more. There are people that they can bring on bigger and more experienced players to come and be part of them, and a different team will see next season. So it would be nice to see them finishing ahead of Chelsea. I mean City. That is the most delightful thing, and it would even be nicer to even see Chelsea. You understand? It would be nicer to see Chelsea finish ahead of City.
Well, Chelsea fans will be smiling at the corner of their bed watching this one. Let's give it a permutation for Newcastle United. For Newcastle United, a win guarantees them a place in next season Champions League. Already, Newcastle have qualified for Europe. That's after they won the Carabao Cup. They have a place in the Conference League already. But they can elevate that position to Champions League if they win at home against Everton. A draw will leave them sweating. Yes, a draw will leave them sweating on other results on the final day. What it will mean if they end up playing out a draw, it will mean that Chelsea and Aston Villa fail to get maximum point, or one of them fails to get maximum points in their own encounter. Not forgetting there's still a certain Nottingham Forest who is also hoping that Newcastle United don't get maximum point, because this is what happens. If Newcastle United fail to win, they'll remain on 66 points. It means if either Chelsea or Forest wins their match, they topple Newcastle United. And if Aston Villa beats Manchester United, I beg your pardon, they also topple Newcastle, automatically means Newcastle will not play Champions League football next season.
Now for Nottingham Forest, right? Let me just talk about them quickly. I think they lost their spot in Champions League when they drew that game against Leicester
City.
I think that was just it. And there's no much they will do. Because the Chelsea that I've actually seen lately, not the best Chelsea side, but the hunger in them is different. Yeah, because they know they have been pushing well right now. They're down right now. They're playing differently. I mean, mind you, they defeated Liverpool convincingly. They defeated Manchester United. I think back to back, Liverpool, Manchester United. That tells you how back to back home game. But that tells you how they've actually rediscovered themselves and how serious they are about going to Champions League next season. So coming up, I think Newcastle, that explains why they are cool. I mean, their own, I'm trying to remember his name, walking to this
but although they clarified that the anger was on the Iwoani's injury, that they were angry that the medical team did not react quick. And that's why he was complaining to the coach.
Well, I understand that, but believe me, a win would not actually allow him to walk into that. I mean, they would have used that one to whatsoever it is. But the thing is this, that was when they lost their place in the Champions League. For Newcastle, right, like I said, they've actually done excellently well. Not excellently well this season, but they've not done bad.
For Forest.
I mean, for Newcastle, now I'm talking about Newcastle, because if Arsenal have a player who have scored up to 20 goals, like Isak have done, probably I'm talking about
the league title.
The league title with this thing. Same with, for Forest, we've all agreed before now that they were pointing above their weight, and that's why we wanted them to get to Champions League, but they would have been a disgrace because they might not go too far in Champions League, and they will use the chances of the English team next season.
The we see Aston Villa going for earlier in Champions League. Did we see?
Yes, from the get-go. They started like a house on fire. They won their.
That's because they started, but before the Champions League started, we didn't give it to them.
But they were a better team even before Champions League. Compared to, of course, they're a better team than Nottingham Forest that we see right now. That does it. So I wouldn't want a team that's going to give, that would not give a country a good presentation to be part of this competition. If it must be there, come on, go and give the country a good presentation. Now, the teams that might end up making it Champions League in England, definitely, almost all of them can go beyond the group stage. I mean, can go beyond the...
Aside Forest.
Well, if Forest is not part of them, because if Chelsea get there, I don't see Chelsea get knocked out before. I mean,
at least 16. Come on, they can finish at the top 16. It cannot be that bad.
I don't see Manchester City making the same mistake they made last season, playing a playoff. I don't see Newcastle not making it. You understand? I don't see Arsenal at all. So what I was talking about. So that now gives the country a better presentation again. If Germany, Italy had 5 teams last season, come on, England should seize that opportunity and let it be their bed right from now. So that almost all the time, more than 4 teams from England should make a Champions League. And this time around, it's going to be 6.
So it's going to be the goal for Forest.
Yeah, I think the guys that would, the outsiders say, the guys that will not make the Champions League, that I can say with my chase, sincerely speaking, is Forest. I don't see them beating Chelsea, even though they're going to be at home. It will be surprised, though. It was a shock seeing them defeating West Ham last week. I didn't see that coming from nowhere.
Yeah.
They won that game, though not convincingly. I know how they struggle at the end of the season, but come on, they won that game. But I don't see them defeating Chelsea.
Well, for Forest to qualify for the Champions League results elsewhere, they must go their way. But first, they have to do one job. And the one job is to defeat Chelsea at the City Ground and then hope that Manchester United do them a favor by beating or taking a point of Aston Villa.
Yeah.
And then maybe Newcastle United decide to slip up they will see them finish in the top four. Let's go to Chelsea quickly. Chelsea, of course, in the Premier League table currently right now are 50 with 66 points with a goal difference of plus 20. Now, for Chelsea, they could end up in the Champions League position and out of the Champions League position depending on what they do, but they have their own fate in their hand.
Almost everybody has own fate in his hand.
Win at City ground and you are qualified, you are guaranteed a place in the Champions League. But if Chelsea end up with a draw at the City ground, it will mean Aston Villa must not
lose against Manchester United.
Must not win against Manchester United. That's the only result that will see Chelsea get to the Champions League. And then probably maybe Newcastle United don't also win. They lose entirely at home to Everton, which is almost unlikely.
Not possible, right? You know the beautiful thing about the last set of this match that we're talking about? Almost everybody's fate is in his hand.
Just win your game.
Win your game. Now for Chelsea, sincerely speaking, see the banter Arsenal division, I said so was the receiver. Because you can't explain to me how clubs spend billions. And they know they're doing. And nobody's talking about him.
6 billion.
And nobody's talking about him. And guess what? You know the most annoying thing? They end up with average players. Average players.
They've all been average.
Below average players.
Nobody has been outstanding. Nobody's world class in the
From
Chelsea
the goalkeeping department to the defense. Look, ask a lot of guys that watch football out there. Chelsea defenders. Nobody. Who? Colwell.
The only one decent player in Chelsea defense is Rhys James, but injury has
actually. I mean, I saw.
He's the only one decent player.
I saw what he did against Manchester United.
And maybe there's a step up from Kukurea, but of course, it's not there yet. He's not there yet.
So after spending $1 billion, right? Who's supposed to get all the bashing? Who's supposed to receive all the banters? Supposed to go?
Maybe not because they reach final.
Which final did they reach?
No,
which final did they reach?
Just for what it is,
Conference League.
Chelsea have been to
Conference League
the final in once in every 2 years.
Oh,
the last few seasons.
I know one is not enough, my brother. You cannot. So you spend.
Maybe that's what their fans are happy about.
I don't understand. So you spend below so that you would reach final.
At least they show you
final of some less competitive, some average competition, Conference League, Carabao Cup. But now, how much you spend? Which FA Cup? When last did you get to the final of FA Cup?
I think they were beaten by Arsenal.
When? Arsenal. Yeah, okay. Find out 2020.
That's why we can won the FA Cup.
That was 2020. Since then,
no, Leicester City beat them in the FA Cup.
No, Arsenal defeated them in the final of FA Cup.
Chelsea also lost to Leicester City some few seasons ago.
Now, I'm not talking about that era. I'm talking about beyond that era. I'm talking about with the coming of Todd Boehly. How much because you're talking about the $1 billion is Todd Boehly, not even this.
He won Champions
League. Who?
Okay, it was not Todd Boehly that won Champions League. It was Roma. That's true.
They talk.
It was Roma that won Champions League.
The last 2 seasons, these guys have spent. And the funniest thing is, like I said, there is no project ongoing. Nothing to shout for. Nothing is going on in Chelsea. Now, by inshallah, then they win. Kukurea will also not the ball. You don't enter. You understand?
It's the fact that Kukurea is
he's their most active player this year now. Nobody has scored more goals than Kukurea. I know that he's the most decent left back out there. Not that he's most decent.
He's just there in the right space at the right time.
But they say in the land of the blind, one is the king. Now, this is just a practical example here.
So Kukurea is the king.
He's the king right now. Because there's nothing to shout for in Chelsea.
Can they play Champions next season?
Do you know what actually pains me the most? With all the hype about what's his name, Kopama, he just proved to be one hit wonder. Because the truth is this, I feel like he's not coming back again. We can never see him at that level.
15 goals this
scoring 20-something goals again, dominating.
But 15 is also decent.
If Arsenal get persuaded score 15, so then for they talk about the
league. That's why I feel like we should not
bet
because he set a standard too high for himself. He can't hard for him to maintain because 15 goals in the Premier League from a midfielder. Come on, it's not bad.
It's amazing.
It's not bad.
When last did we see that? How many
midfielders have 15 goals? And he has 8 assists also in the Premier League.
What do they talk? Salah, where they talk this season.
No, Salah is Salah is a
midfielder too.
Salah is nowhere.
Is he a midfielder?
He's a winger.
Is he a midfielder?
He's a midfielder because in football, he's either an attacker, but Salah is an attacker.
See,
we can put it that way because he's a winger. Wingers are part of attackers.
He's a midfielder. In football, it's either you're a defender, you're a midfielder, or you're
an
attacker.
So he's a midfielder.
No, he's a midfielder. He's a midfielder. He plays the wing is part of the attack. No, midfield. Wing is midfield. Fact, wing is midfield.
No, I don't.
Wing is midfield. For
me, I don't agree in this one.
No, they try.
Defense is the defense.
Sincerely speaking,
the midfield is the midfield.
No, yeah, the midfield.
The attack is the
two guys in the.
Okay, Cristiano Ronaldo is a what?
He's a midfielder.
No,
he's a midfielder. He's a midfielder. That one you don't need to drag down. See,
Cristiano Ronaldo is an attacker.
No. Except you play him there up front. There are wingers actually play that position.
A winger is what?
A winger is a midfielder. The guys that play from the wings because the guys in the midfield.
An attacker.
No, he is, but okay, the guys in the The guys in the
okay,
midfield.
the
See,
7 and 11 is
they
in
are
which position?
wingers
No,
and they
they
are
are
midfielders.
attackers.
No, they're not
7,
attackers.
9 and 11 are attackers.
No, they're not
Afghanistan.
attackers. They consider them as midfielder.
Okay.
The two guys in the in the middle of the park and the guys from the wing are considered as what they call it, midfielder. Then the guys up front that are it all depends on the distance that you're playing.
Well,
right?
I don't agree,
but as far
but
as
I
you're
will
a
let
winger,
you- I still don't agree.
You guys agree. See, for Mo Salah, he's doing the same thing. So let's not overhype what's his name, Palmer, because now where the whole issue come from? Say Palmer, wait. Palmer is playing for almost the same position with Salah from the wings. Do you understand? And what are we talking about? So Salah has done it. But you can actually talk about experience, which I agree completely. But this is even coming up because of how poor Chelsea have actually been. And it doesn't look like, because you know the funniest thing, how many will Chelsea let go next season? And how many will come to Chelsea next season? How much did Chelsea realize this season? We're talking about, see, make us see talk come again. Chelsea don't sell part of their female team to Bluco just to escape financial hammer. I mean, just to escape this, what do you call it? The PSR hammer.
Yeah.
Last season, they sold estate, they did some other things. This team has been poor, terribly poor. But when they form, they do things like say, and they are better than Arsenal, and they are better than Man U, and they are better than this team. If Man U and Arsenal have spent the amount of money they have actually spent, probably wouldn't have been talking about them in like
But
manner.
they're not 17th. Chelsea are not
They're another second.
But they're in the final of the Europa Conference League.
So
You
make a boss your head.
Afghanistan.
Make a boss your
Now,
head.
this is a team
See,
that- wait.
I beg, make a talk to our guys in the studio. See, I'm not gonna answer me. I beg. You spend 100 million to go win 18 million naira. You get wisdom for that kind of thing. You get wisdom.
You win trophy, that's what.
Which kind of trophy? Which kind of trophy?
Bad business.
Bad business. What are you talking about? They don't ask bad business. It's not supposed to be. Is that a place that a team that's paying $1 billion? Is that a place that they even supposed to be in the first place?
Football is not a profit. It's
Say
not
so.
a profit.
So what makes you not get the best players?
It's for
What makes you not get the best players? Okay, fine for the fans, right? But how do you attract the best players? When you make money and sign the best players.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
There are rules and regulations. You can't just nobody can just put that in his pocket and start buying players just like that. No, not just in football. Almost all team sports, in most team sports, so that you have competition, so that you have balance. So for Chelsea, we shouldn't even. For me, as a matter of fact, may they not even go.
Okay.
May they not even go to Champions
They should
League.
not go to
May
Champions
they not even go to Champions. Even though I prefer them going that City, but may they not even go. Because spending $1 billion, they shouldn't be struggling. They should have been up there. Them and Arsenal, how can Arsenal not win in almost 5 matches and Chelsea, they are still ahead of Chelsea? That's a shame now.
Okay. So to end this, Afghanistan, I'm going to ask you right now. Be the super predictor
Yeah.
for the final time in the English Premier League. As
Yeah.
it stands right now, Liverpool are already champions with 83 points. As the Arsenal will finish second, regardless. Regardless of what happens,
Yeah.
Arsenal cannot finish below second.
No, regardless of what
they
happened.
cannot finish below second.
Even if
because
Arsenal don't
they
play
have
again,
a superior
Arsenal
goal difference.
yeah.
Than Manchester City.
Yeah.
Man City are on 68 points.
Yeah.
Newcastle United, Chelsea and Aston Villa on 66. Sorry, I beg your pardon. Newcastle, Chelsea, Villa on 66 with Forest on 65. However, there's still a slight chance that the 8th position in Premier League will go to Europe. But the 8th position is already sealed. It's not sealed with Brighton and Brentford fighting for that position. But that will mean that Chelsea will not will win the Conference League and finish in the Europa League spot for the 8th position in the Premier League to go to Europe.
Which they
Chelsea
don't do.
will win the Conference
They
League
don't do.
and then not finish in the Conference League position. But Afghanistan,
Are they pathetic because of Chelsea? You know, go better say. I mean, you know, go make sense. Say you spend that kind of money, you don't win anything.
Organizer,
And then win the.
give me
win the this thing.
the 3 teams that will
As
play in the
painful as
Champions
it
League.
is, as painful as it is.
I want
right?
the team that will finish 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Yeah, as painful as it is, against my wish, I still think it's going to be City, Newcastle, and Chelsea.
No, I want you to say it to the camera.
Yes, City, Newcastle, and as painful as it is, left for me, Newcastle and City and Newcastle should be out there. Let's have Aston Villa. Even though I'm against poor representation, let's have Newcastle, Aston Villa, and Nottingham Forest. But it's not going to be possible. I'm being realistic here. I wish it's very from a reality. Realistically speaking, I see Chelsea making the Champions League, and which make their season better than that of Arsenal. Realistically speaking, I see Man City making the Champions League. Realistically speaking, I see Newcastle making the Champions League, and in the order of City, Newcastle, and Chelsea.
Well,
Because Aston Villa might just bottle that game against Man City on Sunday.
Manchester United.
Yeah, Manchester United on Sunday,
I
see
also
Chelsea.
think so.
And I see Chelsea defeating Nottingham Forest.
Well, for Manchester United, they need to save face for one last time this
That
season.
is it.
In the English Premier League. At
yeah.
least get to 40 points. 40 points. At least for Uncanny Sam, it is as we were. And that's how the Premier League season we end going into the final day. For you out there, who do you think will make it to the Champions League? Will it be Manchester City, Chelsea, Newcastle United, Aston Villa, or Nottingham Forest? Or which order will it be? Will it be Forest and Aston Villa, who creep in just at the death in the race for Champions League football? For Manchester United, it is operation. The team should at least get 40 points because 39 points from 38 Premier League games. It is a terrible. If I know words can quantify such a performance. And for Ernest, our foremost Manchester United fan on the fan group, we are deeply sorry for what you've been through with Manchester United this season. And we hope to have you soon join us in the studio as we look at how the season fared for your darling Manchester United. This is officially the last game before the end of the Premier League season. The next time we will be coming to your screen, we'll be laughing at those who did not go to Champions League or those who will be playing in the Conference League again come next season. Football Temple brought to you by Azar Studio. But before we go, we must say special shout out to the production team led by Sani Goswill, the man always behind, of course, and all of the pressing that you are seeing. The camera team, of course, Mr. Sule, Mr. Nanchin, Big Auntie. She loves to call herself Big Auntie. I don't know why. She's small in size. She's petite. Loves to call herself Big Auntie. Favor. And of course, Ilomi and everybody, of course, who has contributed to a fantastic Premier League season. And not forgetting our team lead also.
Yeah.
Who is the invincible man. And of course, to all our fans on social media, we appreciate you. Don't forget to always follow us on our social media handle. Football Temple are brought to you by Azar Studios. Have been grateful and magnanimous enough to let us use their studios to produce, even though it's a production of a in-house studio. But don't forget, you can always come to Azar Studios for your podcast production and book a session with us. We are always here to deliver. You love what you see when we sit and analyze. You also want to do the same thing, come in, and we are always open for business. Our social media handles are on your screen. Follow us across board, and don't forget to also follow Azar Studios across board on all social media handles. Congratulations to Liverpool, champions of the English Premier League.
Yeah. One final. I think you're making a great mistake. You've appreciated everybody, but you refuse to appreciate the guys that are always sitting in front of the camera. The Babatundes of this world, the Tundis of this world,
I have appreciated all of them in their light. The last time.
Okay.
So I have also done, but not to of course. I have to appreciate everybody who has been on this set for the course of the entire Premier League.
Yeah.
The list is enormous. Shekari, Tunji, of course, Babatunde, Nonso, Osas, and all of the fans have also come. Ezekiel, that has come into the production. We must appreciate all of you because truly, you have made the Premier League season a remarkable one. I don't think at the start of the season anybody thought that it would be a season where Liverpool will be champions. Nobody saw Manchester United finishing less than 40 points.
14.
Nobody saw Spurs finishing where they are. And nobody saw Manchester City struggling the way they did this Premier League season. 2025-2026 will be a great season. But from all of us here for the 2024-2025 season, it is congratulations to the teams that make it to the Champions League, and sorry for the teams that will not play in Europe next season.